I'm sure you've been there. We all have. We've carefully crafted a non-player character to introduce to our party of PCs. We introduce them with a witty one-liner or a heartfelt opening monologue, and the players just don't care. But then the instant you introduce a quirky little shop owner that wears overalls, they are the center of the universe. How do we fix that? What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Geek Pantheon. I am Eric, and today we're talking about 5 ways to get your players more invested in your NPCs. And I'm just going to go through some examples of archetypes that I think work really well in engendering a sense of investment and caring and connection with player characters in your typical D&D party. Obvious caveat, every table is different. Some of these are going to work for your party. Some of them aren't. These are just what have worked for me in the past. So let's get into number 1. Make the NPC a reflection of a party member's motivations and or actions. And so what I mean by this is if you have a party member who is all about like honor and nobility in combat, and they never shy away from a fight, they're willing to charge headlong into the battle lines and fight till their last breath, and that is like what they care about. Then taking an NPC that is more martially focused, perhaps, is a warrior, and giving them a similar creed or the exact same one and showing them, like when the party first meets them, have it be them diving into a battle and fighting with everything they've got. And hopefully that player controlling that PC will see that and have this kindred spirit moment of like, yes, that is somebody that I want to get to know. That is somebody awesome. And you can do the same thing with the face of the party. Introduce somebody that is equally witty and charming and willing to have a drink and laugh and tell stories and have them connect with that party member. And you're going to have a much easier time of gaining that investment so that down the line when that NPC needs something, or you want to have that NPC be the central point of a set piece, the party is going to care because they see themselves in that NPC. Next up is such a trope when it comes to storytelling in general that obviously it works well in D&D with an NPC-PC relationship, and that is the enemies to friends trope. It's such a common thing, and if you can pull it off, that is a guaranteed way to get a player character invested in a relationship by introducing a playfully antagonistic rival, somebody that thwarts the player character's efforts in maybe a solo scene that you're running or something like that, where they can really want to like get back at them and, oh, they're so annoying, and they just their hair and their eyes. No, I'm not talking about that. And you can play into that. And so giving somebody a playfully antagonistic rifle, not somebody that actually wants to do them harm, but somebody that just likes getting under their skin, and they like that face you make when you get frustrated and stuff like that. Play into the tropes. And if you have player characters that enjoy that type of story, you're absolutely going to get that back and get that sense of reciprocity of that back and forth until down the line in the campaign, you can have it fully flip on its head, and in a desperate time of need, or if you do romance in your games, then obviously that could be a path that this takes down. But having somebody that is the playful foil to a party member is a guaranteed way to build a connection there. But then also with the other party members, they're going to love seeing that player character getting all like flustered and like, no, I don't like them. They're just a jerk. Okay. And that could be a really fun thing to play. So that can be a fun thing to get the whole party invested in this NPC and their relationship with the specific player character as well. Before we get into the next one, if you're enjoying the video, be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel down below. It helps so much. And comment down below ways that you've gotten your players invested in NPCs that you've been running, or as a player, stuff that your dungeon master has done to get you invested in an NPC. If you are enjoying the video and want to support the channel, you can do so over at patreon.com/thegeekpantheon. We have lots of tiers over there that you can support the channel financially, and very appreciative of all of our wonderful patrons that do so. Anyway, on with the video. This next one is, there's a specific like example that I'm absolutely pulling from, and it's one of the most, I think, beloved characters in the Star Wars franchise, and that is Obi-Wan Kenobi as he exists in the prequels / Clone Wars TV show, and that is the lighthearted but exasperated mentor / like friend that is supposed to be your mentor, but you know, you all are too close for that. And having an Obi-Wan type character where they're really trying to teach the player character a lesson. They're trying to teach this PC, but you just keep getting into trouble and aw shucks, like, you should do better, but I'm going to say it with a smile and a wink and like, oh yeah. And half the time they're involved in the trouble and things like that. That kind of dynamic and relationship. There's a reason why people love Obi-Wan's character so much. And it's because it is such a welcoming, almost older sibling kind of relationship where it's somebody that wants what's best for you, wants to look out for you, but they're not a stick in the mud about it. And so you have this sense of belonging and appreciation for what they try to do, but you don't have to deal with all of the like bad parts where they get onto you and they're mad at you and all that kind of stuff. So you're trimming that fat and making a NPC that can be a guide for the player character, but is also somebody that they're going to enjoy spending time with and getting to know. This next one injects a bit of mystery into your game. So obviously an NPC that the party don't know a lot about, but they want to get to know them more, is obviously going to be a strong driving factor for investment into an NPC. And the way you can't just introduce like a mysterious NPC, like you see somebody looking at you from across the courtyard. That might work with some parties, but obviously not all. Like some people are gonna be like, okay, that's creepy, moving on. But if you make it a mysterious ally, so if there's a combat encounter that you feel like is maybe going against the party a bit too heavily, or you want to set it up as a set piece, you intentionally balance an encounter to be a bit more than the party can handle, and then having a mysterious ally join the fight. Don't have them just swoop in and take over, because I know some players that would hate that character, be like, oh, well, and they're going to hate that mechanic of just having an NPC come in and win the day. But having a mysterious ally join the fight, roll initiative, have them use their actions and help the party shift the tide of battle. Not save the party, but just assist them and then have them take off into the night without saying anything, without engaging with the party. That's going to be somebody that the party is going to be much more invested in figuring out who are they, why did they do that, what do they want from us, why do they care about us, and that can be a really interesting driving factor to get the PCs to care about this NPC so that once again down the line when you want to do something big and interesting with them, they will care. Next up is a pretty straightforward one, but I feel like it's not something that is utilized as often as it could be. And it's something that's utilized a lot in player character relationship creation in like a session 0. But you can absolutely do this with NPCs, giving the NPC a shared aspect of backstory with a party member, with a player character. And what I mean by that is if the party has a member who their village was burned down by the oppressive government that is trying to tax everybody and introducing an NPC whose village was also burned down by the same oppressive regime is going to instantly create a connection between that party member and that NPC and get that kernel of investment out of the gate, that little hook into them. But then also, and that provides an interesting means for that NPC to give quests down the line as it relates to that backstory aspect. Additionally, just a shared experience, even if it's not like the same thing. So we're just going to stick with the tropes. If you have a PC whose parents were killed when they were a teenager and like they saw it happen, you could have an NPC introduced who's maybe around the same age that the party member was when it happened. And it could be part of the quest where, you find this person who has witnessed their parents' death, and that's going to create this connection and this level of understanding of like, I understand what you're going through. I can help you. I'm here for you. And just giving a shared experience. And it doesn't even have to be a negative aspect. You could have an NPC from the same or similar culture as a party member. You could have them have the same birthday. Like that's just such a weird, quirky thing. Or the same name. Oh my gosh. How often in real life do you encounter somebody that has the same name as you? And it's always like, oh yeah, hey, my name's Eric too. Woo. But in fantasy settings like D&D, you never have that happen. So I think you would get an initial level of investment because there's a meta to it of if you have a player character named Aragorn, let's just keep it simple, and they like run into an NPC is like, oh, what's your name? Oh, my name's Aragorn. Like, wait, no, that's my name. Oh, oh, hey, it was the same name. And that can be a fun little moment that will probably, it will either cause the player to be like, oh yeah, same name, or they'll be like, yeah, same name. But either way, you're getting that investment from them, and probably the rest of the party is going to find it hilarious. And so they're going to be invested. And so that can just be a fun, lighthearted aspect of a backstory or their character that you can inject into an NPC to at least get the ball rolling with them, because that's the name of the game with stuff like this, is you're just trying to get the ball rolling, because hopefully once your players get to know the NPC better and get to know the intricacies of their story that you've crafted, that's going to just put it over the top in terms of them being invested. Where we run into problems a lot of times as a dungeon master is that initial hook, is getting them interested from the outset. And so these 5 things are just things that I feel like work really well for me, and I wanted to share them all with you. This was a little bit of a shorter video. If you liked this quick kind of rapid fire format, let me know down below. Or if you like the more long drawn out videos that I go into a bit more detail, also let me know down below. Be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.